Top of the morning to you. Jim Holley here with you live in living color. It's right. It's a Saturday morning, 14 days to the month of April. The year is still the same, 2018. Once again, we say good morning to you on this rainy Saturday morning. And once again, just to let you know, we're very grateful to you for joining us and knowing that indeed, my sister and brother, that there's a lot of options you have with it remote, and yet you choose to be with us on a Saturday morning. And we just want to say thank you so much for just choosing us and being there with us this morning. Just want you to know, if this is your first time listening to the program, that it is a live talk show, and you're certainly welcome to call in. And we are certainly welcome to take your calls about anything you may have on your mind or about the topic that we might be discussing. The telephone numbers are right there on your television screen, so there's no reason, no excuse why you can't call. We just want you to know we want you to call and want to talk to you. It is rain. It is raining all day today. Look like all day tomorrow, all day Monday. But again, it's just what it is. You know, it's Michigan. This temperature is around, I think the high today would be about 39 degrees for the high today. Right now we're at 42, 44 degrees at Metro Airport, 42 downtown Detroit. And of course, instead of rising, the temperature is going to dip a little bit, and because we're going to have what they say, maybe a possibility of freezing rain with the rain as well. But we just have to take it one day at a time. As my grandmother would always say, any day above ground is a good day. So we are all above ground. So it is a good day. On Sunday, we're talking about rain on Sunday, about 44 degrees on Sunday. Monday, about 42 degrees on Monday. And also we're talking about, as I understand, some rain as well. And so this is the day, Detroit, that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Once again, we say good morning and we thank you so much. We have scheduled and still expecting today the Gary Brown, who's basically over the water and sewage board, and so you have an opportunity to ask questions. We're not quite sure what our communication has been. I don't know if indeed it was the first hour or the second hour. I just don't remember. I've been so involved in this job fair that we had on yesterday, and it was wonderful. And I thank God for all of you who basically some that were you were there. I met you for the first time. I listened to you on the phone, but the first time I met you face to face, and for that I'm very grateful for that, and for your support. And then I'm going to, as I said before, over 800 and some people showed up. And we are very grateful to that. And we had about 70 vendors that showed up. They were offering jobs and skilled trades, and mainly sponsored by the Wayne County Community College District. And that's the kind of people they are. That's just the kind of people they are. They have you have opportunities at Wayne County Community College, and also they want you to know about other opportunities throughout the metropolitan area. It was a wonderful day yesterday, and of course I owe so much to so many people, and I'm not going to be able to I should have the names and say to you who they are, but I just want you to know, my sister and brother, that I don't have money, but I have relationships, and for that I give God the glory, because people don't have to be nice, and when they are, at least you want to be grateful and say thank you. And these are the kind of people that really helped me put this together, and I want to let them know that, and I've already told them, and will tell them again, how grateful we are for their help in putting this job fair together. It was wonderful to see so many people that come looking for jobs and finding jobs, and for that I just want you to know I'm very grateful for that, and we thank God for it, for each and every one of you. Then across the street, there are about 400 people that showed up for food. And so again, we give food out on the second Friday and the fourth Friday of every month. And so a little less than 400 people showed up and got food, and we were happy about that. And so we had almost like 1,000 people on the campus yesterday. And I do call it a campus because we're trying so much, so hard, my sisters and brothers, to try to make the historic Little Rock Baptist Church educational as well as spiritual and well as economics. And we have what I call SEE, salvation, education, and economics. And this is what we're trying to do and try to make sure that we really meet the needs of the people, not only in the North End, but also in the city of Detroit. And so we just thank you so much. It's about 10 minutes after the hour, and we'll be right back with you after we pay just a couple of bills. So don't go anywhere.
Say a little prayer for you, and I will always care for you. Hello, Detroit.
I've always been interested in driving. When I was in the service, I drove a stick shift truck. After being retired, I got tired of sitting around. It's time for me to get back maneuvering something on the road. I'm back in school again, and I seen the sign out there, said truck CDL. I'm in school trying to get me an associate degree. One reason I quit school years ago, I'm slow learning. But once I learn things, I can pick it up. But I can pick more so up on hands-on. The technology is different for me. It's a difference between driving a straight back truck or a stick shift car. And the semi truck amazes me. This is a program that advances knowledge. I'm determined to get an education. Gets you a skill and a trade. Live life. Enjoy it.
There is not another culinary or hospitality academy located in the city of Detroit.
There's a lot of people teaching culinary arts, but they're not teaching the business side of it.
We're opening up another kitchen for the Cleary Culinary Academy. We're going to bring a Cleary mind to every kitchen in downtown Detroit.
But when we talk about a Cleary mind, we're talking about a student that can make a definite impact.
We want to be a part of all the wonderful food establishments, restaurants, and the food scene in general in downtown Detroit.
You've seen him on the red carpet, you've seen him on the sidelines, you've seen him on the stage. The hottest looks in urban fashion from the biggest name in urban fashion, Van Dyke's. Now pick out 3, pay for 1. 3 suits for 1. Van Dyke's, 10 Mile and Southfield Road. You've seen him at the clubs, you've seen him in the boardroom, you've seen him on the pulpit. Now get them at Van Dyke's. 3 suits for 1. Suits for the workplace, for the club scene, to be seen in. Pick out 3, pay for 1. Van Dyke's, 10 Mile.
And I will always care for you. Hello, Detroit.
And once again, thank you so much for being with us on this Saturday morning, 13 minutes after the hour, live. If you don't mind, let me tell you that because we were running earlier a program from last Saturday. And I just want you to know that the program is live, and we'll certainly ask you to give a call in. And certainly want you to know that the numbers are right there on your television screen. If you're listening by way of internet, the number's 868-0342, 868-0351, 868-4336. Those are the numbers, and of course the area code is always the same, 313. And so we just invite you for your calls. I wanted to get this to you. I wanted to try to get it to you last week, but there was a Forbes magazine have really come out with what they call the 10 cities where African Americans are doing very well economically. They've ranked 10 cities, and of course, I was hoping that Detroit would be one of them, but Detroit is not. And so Forbes began its annual rankings of the places where black people are doing best economically. And many people have probably assumed that the list would be filled with places like in the north or on the west coast, but not so. For most of the part, many African Americans are doing very well in southern cities. And I just want you to know that indeed, I'm going to give them to you and see what you think about that. But that again, these are the cities, the top 10 cities where African Americans are doing well economically. Economically, and I'm going to tell you something. And most likely because of jobs, because I mean not because, but because of the government. And so Washington comes in one. Washington D.C. Comes in number one. And as I said before, most likely because of the government, the jobs there in Washington. But that comes in number one. Then I want you to know that that was almost like a tie would be Atlanta, Georgia. And I think we would, most of us would have thought about that and would assume that Georgia was coming in high. And so it seems like Washington, D.C., Atlanta, Georgia comes in like almost like a tie, according to Forbes magazine ranking, where African Americans are doing very well in this country. And then I thought I better get this into you. Austin, Texas, comes in like number three. Austin has some of the best barbecue in the country and also one of the most progressive cities in the South. And so Austin, Texas comes in like number three. Guess who's number four in where African Americans are doing very well economically? Baltimore, Baltimore, Maryland. That's right. The medium black income in Baltimore household income is about 53 $1,000 a year, and home ownership rates about 44% in Baltimore. At 53, the average person in Baltimore is making about $53,000 a year. And of course, obviously, if Baltimore is kind of close to Washington, so I got to feel that of course a lot of things spill over from Washington into Baltimore, and that might have a little bit to do something with it as well. But guess came in number five is Raleigh, North Carolina. That's right, Raleigh, North Carolina. Comes in with 40. The average medium income for people in North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, is like $49,000 a year. That's the medium income. And so you got Washington, and you got Atlanta coming in 1, 2, and then you got 3 where you come in Austin, Texas, and then of course number 4 is Baltimore, and Raleigh, North Carolina is number 5. We'll get back to that and take some phone calls. Caller, thank you for your patience. How are you this morning? Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. I was just hoping to catch Eric's debris. And what I was looking at is that I didn't want a lot of scams to be going through Detroit for I want to buy your house signs and to stop foreclosure. They're scattered throughout all the neighborhoods. And I think it's a very, very dangerous thing. And I didn't want the people to get caught up with the wrong information.
Okay. All right. And thank you for the call. I'll call you next. How are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. How are you?
You know, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Can you hear me?
You're on the air.
Okay. Your volume is down. I can't hear you. When I'm looking over the internet, you'll be on for about 1 minute.
What's going on, Junior? What's
This
happening?
station, because it's on the internet, you can't hear you. But let me go on. It's just that you can't hear me. Can- Am I talking now?
You're on the air.
Okay. Now I can't hardly hear you at all. But let me say this: I was over in Baltimore. Baltimore is just like Detroit. In Detroit, they said last year, in 2016, that the average of medium wages was $25,600. The next, it was in 215. 216, it was 44. Well, we know who the 44 was. Those was the one downtown. We know that the average that the the people working these McDonald's is making on an average of 9 something an hour. We know those statistics are not true. And then what if you really want to know it, you should check the U.S. Census and look at the population. Blacks are leaving. It's a national program to move blacks out of the city. It's not just a Detroit program. It's a national program. All you got to do is look at the statistics that you got only about 100 and something thousand in Baltimore. They've been drawn out. So they said that they are doing good. That's totally false. Because just like Detroit, and they're laying on the ground, the ones that are in the city are homeless on the ground. From California to Washington, from New York to Birmingham, Alabama. They're laying on the ground. It's not true. And they play on us because they know we don't deal with statistical math. And if you look at Detroit, look at the statistics, it's 40, I think it's 44, the medium income of Detroit. You know that's not true. And then when you have job fair, then you got to ask, where are they going? What ain't no manufacturing. So you hire a lot of people. So where are they going? In service jobs that's controlled by immigrants and their workforce. So what? They ain't going downtown. So is those job fairs really real? I'm on this. If let's that dialogue because you said that they said all these statistics, and I can tell you how you formulate yourself that you will see that they are statistically telling a lie. It's not true.
All right. Thanks, Ty. I'm just a messenger. Yeah. Okay. I'm just a messenger. You seem to know a little bit about everything, but I'm just a messenger, and I'm just saying to you that this is basically as I like to think that Forbes basically has done their research, and Tyrone, obviously we're not doing as well as we'd like to in Detroit and in major urban America, but all of us are not sleeping on the ground. Most of us not sleeping on the ground. And obviously we need to do what we can to help those who are sleeping on the ground and whom jobless and underemployed. But again, a lot of this stuff is if I got also a report here in terms of where we are with education here in the city of Detroit. And so I got this report here that basically this ranks where we're like on the bottom when it comes down to education. And so one basically feeds the other. And so again, Detroit school scores worse in the nation again. But the new superintendent vows to change all of that. But obviously, education it all fits. So I don't know, I don't know what your great gripes are all the time. But again, obviously, we got to fix a lot of this stuff. But complaining about it, my friend, and just throwing out numbers and statistics is not really what I consider to be something that we want to that we just want to deal with all the time. Somehow, some kind of way, and Junior, if I could please, that we just got to understand we do have some problems, no doubt about it. But somehow, some kind of way, we got to be able to correlate. The fact is, education has to do with economics, and so again, I'm just saying to you is to my sisters and brothers that we'll get to this for the most part because I want to make sure that I get my guest in here, which is Gary Brown, in regards to the water department. Because so much of you, see, call somebody and let them know that Gary Brown is on, will be on the air, and we'll be able to answer the questions. And on this rainy morning, and talking about water. So I just want you to know that. But again, I want to get back to that. But again, and say to you that indeed, again, if you talk about the education situation here in the city of Detroit, then you talk about economics. One fits into the other, and so and I'm just surprised that much of African Americans' income, medium income, at $50,000 a year, and that for the most part it comes out of the South. You know, not on the East Coast, not on the West Coast or in the Midwest, but many African Americans are doing very well, and we want to get that to you. And as I said before, they came out of Forbes magazine, and if you want to argue with that, that's fine. You know, I'm just a messenger. You know, the Bible says that am I your enemy? I'm bringing you the truth. So am I your enemy? And so I just want you to know that indeed that we want to make sure that we get this. Just want to get information to you. You know, information is powerful. And so as I promised you that our Gary Brown that will be with us today and probably promised to be with us 2 or 3 times a year to give you information about the water department, where we are with it. And many of you have questions as always. And of course, he's the person that can answer all the questions. And we'll have him here in another 4 minutes. So once again, we thank you so much. Again, I want you to know that it's raining on both sides of the street, and we're going to be talking about water. We'll be right back.
Oh, little prayer for you, and I will always care for you. Hello, Detroit.
Watkins Broadcasting is going worldwide. Now you can watch Detroit's own WHPR on your TV from anywhere in the world. No matter where you are, you can stay in the know with WHPR TV and Roku. You can get your easy-to-install Roku box from wherever you shop for your entertainment gear. Once your Roku box is connected to your TV and internet, go to the channel store on the home menu of the Roku box. Enter WHPR TV in the search engine and add it to your channels. That's it. That's all you need to get the best in entertainment, news, and talk, no matter where you are. Roku brings all of your favorites to your TV. Netflix, Hulu Plus, Crackle, HBO Go, and now WHPR TV, Detroit Live.
Say, oh, little prayer for you, and I will always care for you. Hello.
Top of the morning again. Thank you so much for being with us on Saturday morning. If you're just joining us, Jim Holley here with you. 14 days into the month of April, the year's still the same, 2018. We got rain on both sides of the street. I mean rain. I'm talking about Noah's rain. But nevertheless, it's just good to be with you, and we thank God for each and every one of you. The high today will be about 39 degrees. But right now we're in the 40s, but for the most part, the temperature will be falling rather than going up. But it is Michigan. We understand that. And then on tomorrow, we've got rain on tomorrow as well. And then on Monday, too, I think there's going to be some rain. But let's just take it one day at a time. And once again, we thank God for you. And seeing all of that, and then talking about rain on the outside, we have with us, as I promised you, Gary Brown, that will be with us this morning. And he's here in live and living color. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Rep. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, I really I enjoyed just being with you, whether I'm on the air or not on the air. You're just a delight.
Oh, it's
And
likewise.
but also, I just appreciate everything you do to try to come in and make sure people have information. And that's what I like about you as well, is that you're not in your ivory tower, and talking down, but you come in and try to talk with people and try to make them understand. And knowledge is something that we all need and access to where the knowledge is, and you have it, and I appreciate it so much. And so I want you to know we're grateful for you coming in here on a wet day like today,
And thank
talking
you,
about weather.
thank you for making your program available to
Thank you.
get information out to the community, because information is power.
Thank you so much. Let's talk about, and a lot of people, they don't really know what you do. They know you, they know that you've been a police officer in the early years, and now that you're a businessman, and now you also work with the city, and try to do everything to help with the water board. But let's talk about the fact is your job description is that you're the director of the water and sewage for the city of Detroit.
That's exactly right.
But also there is a board that's over you that basically, and let's talk about that. Give us a little bit of history of
I'd
how
love
that
to.
happened. Yeah.
Well, January 2016, the Detroit Water and Sewer Department bifurcated. It split into two different organizations. You kept the Detroit Water and Sewage Department, which is now a retail operation. We buy water from our wholesaler and we sell it to our customers, and we collect the revenue in order to pay our wholesaler for those services, both water and sewer. And I'm the director of the retail portion of the operation, which is the Detroit Water and Sewage Department. And in our business, we call it /R for retail. We're the retail portion of the operation. That's what's different.
Right.
And what was created in this bifurcation was the Great Lakes Water Authority,
Right.
who is made up of board members from the region. But here's what's important. Detroit still owns all the assets. This department, this city owns all of the water department assets. We lease them to the Great Lakes Water Authority, and for the privilege of having some governance and control over the board, they get to pay us $50 million a year to lease our assets, and we take that $50 million and we reinvest it into the infrastructure of the water department only in Detroit. Only in Detroit. And there are two boards. I have a board that I report to. That's the Detroit Water and Sewage Board, and all 6 members are Detroiters.
Right.
They're appointed by the mayor, and they're Detroiters.
Right.
And they're my boss.
Right.
And then I sit on the board of the Great Lakes Water Authority, and there's 6 members. 1 from Oakland County, 1 from Macomb County, 1 from Wayne County, 1 from the state, and 2 from Detroit. And this is really important.
Right.
2 from Detroit.
Why is it important?
Because anything of significance with regards to a budgetary issue with our system needs a 5-6 vote. And so with 2 Detroit votes, we can shut down anything that is not in the best interest of Detroit.
Gotcha.
So let's recap that. We give up some governance and control. We allow the suburbs, who have the majority of customers in our system now.
Right.
We have about 670,000 people in Detroit. It's a 4 million person system.
Right.
So they should have some say-so because they have the majority of customers. But more importantly, they pay us $50 million for the privilege of having some governance and control, but we have the 2 votes that can override anything that's not in our best interest.
Well, if I remember when this came about, that we were at the 50 million that comes that release it. The whole idea is that you could take that 50 million and do what with it?
Oh, that's a good point. You could go to the bond market over the next 4 or 5 years, borrow $500 million to rebuild your system, and use a portion of that revenue to pay to service the debt on the bonds.
Right.
And so essentially the region, the suburbs, are paying to to do the re-infrastructure of our system. Yes.
Which is Detroit.
Which is Detroit. And what's really important about that, because I'm going to consider myself a failure over the next 4 or 5 years if Detroiters don't benefit from rebuilding the system.
Sure.
Benefit by we create jobs.
Right.
And that Detroiters are rebuilding the system. When we give out contracts, they're going to Detroit-based companies.
Right.
So they can hire Detroiters.
Right.
And that we require our vendors to spend 51% of the hours on the contract with Detroit employees. And so that's huge.
Yeah.
As you know, there's nothing that's going to drag Detroiters out of generational poverty. I've been here all my life. All 65 years of my life, I've been in the city of Detroit. And I know families that have gone through generational poverty. And there's only one thing that will drag them out of poverty, and that's a job.
Yeah.
And so you're about to see when if this rain ever stops,
Yeah.
and the construction season gets started in Detroit,
Yeah.
you're going to see Ron Brundridge from DPW out doing $100 million worth of road work, fixing potholes and redoing our streets. You're going to see Detroit Water and Sewer Department doing the same thing, $100 million and putting in new sewer lines, putting in new water lines. You're going to see the demolition crews out spending $100 million on tearing down abandoned houses that need to be removed out of our city. And so with all of that, all of those dollars that are being spent, and then there's the private sector that's also spending dollars, you get to create jobs.
Gotcha.
And if Detroiters don't get those jobs, we would have missed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. With this type of revenue being invested in our city, we have to be able to create jobs for people in our neighborhoods to drag them out of generational poverty.
Gotcha. If you're just joining us, my sisters, but we're talking to Gary Brown. Gary Brown is Director of Water and Sewage here in the city of Detroit. It's very important that you not only listen and take notes, but also call somebody and let them know that we're talking about water and sewage. But not only that, in about another 12 or 13 minutes, Gary is going to be talking about job opportunities that we have in Detroit. They get ready to do some great things here in terms of the infrastructure, and we want to make sure Detroiters are involved in this. And so I just want you to know the numbers are right there on your screen. If you don't mind putting it on there for me, there you go, my friend. 868-0342, 868-0351, and 868-4336 are the numbers, and we thank you so much. Call you in touch with Gary Brown. How are you this morning?
How you doing today, Reverend?
Just fine. Thank you for calling, my friend.
First I want to, how you doing, Mr. Brown?
Good morning.
How you doing? This is DJ 8 Mile. I'm going to National Hip Hop. First, I'd like to give a shout out to TV, Comcast, TV33, Comcast, Channel 91, Detroit Housing Park. I'd like to give a shout out to all other TV show hosts like Ramsey, Jones, Diva.
But what's your question? What's your question?
Shabazz, Reverend Holley, yourself.
Okay.
Miss Perryman, and all the other great TV show hosts.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Reverend Holley, for having, I'll call it a neighborhood summit.
Okay.
Meaning you've had people who are looking to hire regulars out of our community. You also provided free food for our community. So earlier today, when somebody called your show just to rant, they didn't say nothing positive about you feeding our community or about you trying to employ our community. So I commend you not only for doing that, but also commend you for allowing people to just verbalize, even though they don't acknowledge what you really do. You remember, Mr. Holley, I am one who gave you acknowledgement of when we had low investment as far as when it came down to health issues.
Thank you. And I do remember that.
And you stepped up and provided.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. Call you in touch. How are you this morning? Good morning. Good morning. You got your television on.
Good morning.
Yes, how are you?
Good morning. Good. The water department, if I'm not mistaken, they may have had over 20,000 people working for them.
Okay, turn it up. Speak up a little louder.
I wonder if I'm the one to start. Okay, the water department used to have quite a few more employees. And with this new system, we actually took a step backwards. And Gary Brown, he was part of that system when the city went into bankruptcy and that sort of thing. And we got to put the right people in office.
Okay.
And rather than lease our water department out.
Okay.
We can do better than this.
All right. All right.
And,
let me hear what he has to. Let me hear what he has to
Oh,
say.
I'd love to be able to
somebody
address
else
that. First of all, the city didn't wake up one morning and find itself in bankruptcy. It worked its way there over a couple decades. And while it was working its way there were no dollars to invest into the system.
Right.
And so now you've got all of this delayed maintenance to the system, and you've got a crumbling distribution system that has to be fixed. And the city didn't have the dollars to do it because it was going bankrupt, and in fact did go bankrupt. Now, you've leased out the assets, you still own them, and you get $50 million a year from suburban residents that use the system to rebuild your infrastructure. And by the way, you get to hire Detroiters to do that.
Right.
Now, let's talk about some of the regional things that have been done over the last decade or so that some Detroiters are just still upset about. Cobo Hall. You've been inside Cobo Hall. Right. You've seen the hundreds of millions of dollars that have been invested into that system. Right. That came from regional dollars. The Detroit Zoo, we still own it. It may be in Royal Oak, but it's still the Detroit Zoo. There's a regional tax that is being used to be invested into the Detroit Zoo to make it one of the best zoos in America. The DIA.
Right.
There's a regional tax. Detroit doesn't have the dollars to fix all of the problems that it needs without regional support.
Right.
So as long as it's at least a win-win situation, and with the Detroit Water and Sewage Department, it's more than a win-win. We have the advantage. We sit on the board and we control the dollars. And we get $50 million a year to reinvest into a system that hasn't had any real maintenance in decades.
Right.
And so that's a win for Detroiters.
Let me ask you this. One of the things that we hear a lot of times, Gary, and that is when the change took place, there were a lot of people working for the water department that basically, did they get hired back by the Great Lakes or by other people? How many people did we lose any people? And if we did, what happened to those people?
Yeah, you did lose people through attrition. Right. And what happened with the employees is basically they had a choice, and they could either go with the Great Lakes Water Authority, or they could stay with they could go to the Great Lakes Water Authority, or they could stay with DWSD. And so approximately half stayed at DWSD and half went to the water department. And so, yes, at one point the city had 2 million people. It's got 670,000 now. At one point, the water department had 20,000 employees.
Is that right?
But it years and years and years ago.
You're right.
When I got involved with the water department, they had less than 2,000.
Gotcha.
Less than 2,000.
Right.
And so today we have, half of those employees with DWSD, and the other half may have retired.
Right.
And took on a new job with the Great Lakes Water Authority. So they're collecting a salary.
But they did have a choice. They did have a choice.
They had a choice.
They had a choice of going with Detroit Water Department.
Yes.
Go with Great Lakes, or they had a choice of just retiring.
Yes.
They had enough years to go, and so they decided to take bite the bullet.
Yeah. For some, it was to their advantage because they collect a pension from DWSD and the city.
Right.
And now they have a new job, and they're starting a new pension system with the Great. So it was each individual's circumstances financially that they made their decision on.
Right. Call you in touch with Gary Brown. How are you this morning?
Oh, good morning to you both.
Yes.
I'd like to know, first of all, he mentioned the bankruptcy, but that's a whole nother subject because and many believe that was contrived bankruptcy that Detroit didn't even have to go through. it was set up for them to get our assets, etc. That's another subject. But anyhow, I like to know, as a citizen of Detroit, at one time my water bill, or at least I remember my mother's, $40 every quarter. And I don't care what Mr. Brown says, I don't see any justification for a water bill to be from $50 to $100 per month. More than, maybe, I don't know if I'm doing the math, more than quadrupled since that time. Also, why do we, who built the system and own the system, pay less than suburbanites, and they pay quarterly? This stuff doesn't make any sense to me, and all this stuff about jobs, we've seen that before. Arena didn't do their thing. A whole bunch of them, they put up that, we're going to hire Detroiters, and then for some odd reason, that doesn't happen. So I like for Mr. Brown to explain that one away.
No, I'd be glad to. I'd be glad. You're right. The water bills were billed quarterly a decade or so ago, or even longer. They have doubled, in some cases even tripled. But let's talk about why they've doubled and tripled. But before we go there, let's clear up this myth about the suburbs don't pay as much as Detroit does. They pay the same drainage charges. They get charged the same rate for water and sewer. But their individual communities may fund those activities differently. They may decide that they want to collect for drainage in property taxes or with a special assessment. And so it's not really apples to apples. Before I took over January 2016, and that date's important, that's when we bifurcated. For 2 decades, for 20 years prior to that, you had double-digit increases on rates. So if you have a 10% increase for 10 years, the rates have increased 100%. So you've had double-digit increases. January of 2016, the first year I took over, the rates increased only 3%. Last year, they only increased 1.5%. This year, they're going to be less than 4%. And so we're headed in the right direction. But why has the water bills tripled in some cases? A lot of it is through the regulations that EPA has put on the system. And so EPA gives us a permit to be able to operate the system. And when they say you have to build these CSOs, these concrete holding facilities, so when it rains like it is today, and it's more rain than the wastewater treatment plant can handle, that water is going to a holding facility. And there's 6 of them around the city of Detroit. And they cost over $1 billion to build. And so over the last 20 years, 30 years, the city had to borrow money to build these concrete holding facilities of sewage so that when it rains like it is this weekend, that water can go to that sewage and stormwater that's mixed together can go to this holding facility and be managed, sent to the wastewater treatment plant after the event is over. So Monday or Tuesday, after the rain stops, we'll slowly start releasing that water. And so you've got regulations that are coming from the federal government and through MDEQ, the state agency that regulates the water industry, that added cost to the system. So the city didn't have the money, they borrowed it, and that's why the rates steadily increase. With the $50 million lease, we don't have to borrow as much money. We can build out the system based on the money that the suburbs are giving us to lease our assets.
So are you saying to me that it would probably be, my bill would probably be even more if it wasn't for the $50 million that comes from the water?
Absolutely right. 90%, almost 90% of our cost is fixed based on bonds that were put out years ago. But we got to service that debt along with pension and healthcare obligations on our retirees. Okay. Most of our budget is a fixed amount of money, and we don't have a lot of control over it. But the more efficient I can be, the better I can collect, the less bad debt we pass on to ratepayers in the next year's rate. So those 2 factors, less debt being passed on and less bonding and less bond debt, will keep rates from going double digits.
Help me with this. I'm going right back to the phone. So help me with this. if, in other words, a lot of questions would have about poor people, about people that can't pay the. What are we doing about not foreclosure, but
Yeah.
basically shutting off water?
Well, we here's the traditional thinking in the water industry, and I just got back from Sacramento, California, where I spoke on Detroit's assistance programs and how we're trying to help, with the poverty issue in the city of Detroit and with poor people being able to afford their water. But it is no denying that we have a level of poverty in this city in which people are having trouble paying their bills.
Right.
And the way that we try to resolve the issue is we have the most comprehensive, generous, compassionate assistance program in America in any utility, whether you're talking about gas, lights, or water.
Right.
We will go into your home and do an audit, and then we'll fix your plumbing issues up to $1,000. And there's only one qualification, 150% below the poverty line. That's it. That's the qualification. And 50% of our customers meet that. And so we don't go into your home and say, you've got leaks, because the caller before said that, she kind of implied that the average water bill was $150. That's not true. The average water bill in the city of Detroit is about $75. So we go into your home. We don't give you a list of contractors and say, go fix your plumbing leaks. That's why your bill is so high. We fix them up to $1,000. We go into that home and we fix those plumbing issues. And by the way, we also replace their toilets if they have a 5-gallon. The old toilets had a 5-gallon flush. So you're flushing your toilet 100 times, a month, and we're flushing a lot more than that. Some people flush almost that every 2 days. You're expending a lot of water.
Right.
So we go into your home, up to $1,000, we fix your plumbing leaks. And by the way, we freeze your arrears. So arrears is your debt, your past due bill. We freeze that. We don't say you have to pay your normal water bill, your normal $75, and something on the arrears. We freeze the arrears. We fix the plumbing leaks to get you to an average $75 bill. We give you $25 on the $75 bill. So you just have to make a $50 payment. You make that $50 payment, and we write off all of your arrears.
So say somebody's listening and they fit that situation.
Yes.
Is there somewhere they call? And as usual, I ask you to have pencil and paper, because you need to have this information. And if you know people that's in this situation, then here's some numbers, because you have people. In other words, you're not the person. You come and get me information, but isn't where somebody can just sit down and tell me, how to get this done?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And these are social workers.
Right.
These are not water employees.
These are people.
These are licensed social workers that work
for this purpose.
That work for a community action agency called Wayne Metro.
Okay.
They're managing this program. This isn't the water department managing the program.
Right.
It's Wayne Metro that's managing the program. And here's why that's important. Because we give them dollars for the water assistance program, but they get other federal and state dollars that they can wrap their arms around these families holistically. Not only find some assistance for water, find some assistance for gas and lights. And by the way, if you qualify for DTE's assistance program, you automatically you don't have to do anything. You automatically qualify for the water department. Okay. It's the same criteria, 150% below the poverty line.
What's that number?
It says 313-386-RAP, which is 9727. 386-9727. And that's, again, our RAP program, Water Residential Assistance Program. And it is the most generous, compassionate, robust assistance program in America in any industry, whether you're talking about gas, lights, or water. We're going to come in and do an audit. We're going to fix your plumbing leaks to get you to an average bill. We're going to give you monthly assistance. We're going to write off all of your arrears as long as you stay in the program. And Reb, there's a 90% success rate with this program.
Okay.
And it's because of the wraparound services that they are providing. It's not only assistance for water. If you need to find assistance for prescriptions, they need to help you find it. If you need a job, they need to help you find a job. They need to help you find money for your lights, your gas, along with the water bill. So take all of the dollars that they have in their system and wrap their arms around these families and holistically, because this is poverty.
Right.
You know, and the water department in and of itself with an assistance program is not going to solve a problem for a family that's in poverty.
I'm going right to the phone, so please just be patient with me. What's the most misconception or rumor or misconception about the water department that you've seen over the years that you've been there? What is the most? I mean, that you just shake your head and said, that this is not true.
That Detroiters are paying an amount of money that reduces the cost for suburban customers. Nothing could be further from the truth. And normally it's because they're not looking at apples to apples. Yeah. They're looking at apples and oranges. Someone's bill in the suburb may be lower than the bill in Detroit, but they're not seeing the special assessment that they're paying for drainage, or they're not seeing property tax assessment that's paying for a service in that particular community. And so that myth that the suburbs is not paying the same thing that Detroit is just not true.
Let me ask you this. In other words, there's help for you, but there is no such thing, or will there ever be a thing that you see down through the future where we're just going to give people water away?
That by law, that can't happen. I mean, I cannot give services away because that would be unfair to the 90% or more of our customers who pay their bill on time. Right. They absolutely are paying their bill on time.
I can get you help. Yeah, but I can't give it to you.
No, and exactly. And I promise you this, that every single customer has a path not to see a disconnection if they ask for help. Even if they don't qualify for the RAP program, we have other programs that they do qualify for.
Say that
but
again.
You have to ask for the help.
Say that again.
Every residential customer, there are 175 households that are residential customers of DWSD. And every one of them, no matter what your income is, has a path not to see a disconnection if they just come in and ask for the help.
And that number is?
313-386-9727.
9727. Got you. Caller, you've been very patient. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good.
Yes, good morning.
Very interesting. Now, I had to put you on my speaker because I couldn't hear you. Am I clear?
You are.
Okay.
But I need Chiron. I need a question. I need a question. I don't need a speech.
Well, what the question is, Mr. Brown, the property laws say ownership, you control, and you benefit. And Detroit was making $million a year, but then you gave that to the suburb, and then they say they gave us 50. Do that add up?
Well, let's be
things you said was not true.
Let's be clear.
How many households are in delinquent and near delinquent?
Let's be clear about a couple of issues. The $50 million is to lease our assets. They also pay $26 million to us because we own the system, because it was Detroit dollars that built the system out, the pipes that go out to the suburbs. So we get an owner's amount of $26 million on top of the $50 million.
For how many years?
For 40 years.
So that if you talk about 600,000, go ahead.
Yeah. So this is a tremendous amount of money. Sure. Then we get $4.4 million to fund the RAP program.
Right.
I mean, when I took over this bifurcation January 2016, when DWSD bifurcated, they had $229,000 in a fund to assist people. $229,000. You know how much since then I've accumulated, not only through GLEWA, but through fundraising? $7.1 million. And I have the dollars available to help Detroiters if they just raise their hand and ask for the help. Call that number, RAP, if you need the assistance. We've gone from 229,000 to $7.1 million to be able to assist Detroiters. $50 million lease payment, $26 million ownership payment. And we've raised our collection rate from 77%, Doc, to 92. For every 1%, that brings in almost $5 million. And so we're bringing in more money. We're spending less money shutting people off because we're getting them into assistance programs. And it's not just good enough to get them in. Wayne Metro must keep them in the program.
Right.
They must succeed. And remember, I said Wayne Metro has a 90% success rate with keeping people into the program. Because this is what happened when I first took over. You would get your water shut off, and then you come in and you make a payment to get it back on, and then you get a crazy payment plan that you couldn't succeed in because you had to pay your arrears, you had leaks in your house, you had to make your monthly payment. You were set up for failure.
Let me ask you
and
this.
so you just get cut back off again.
So what could I? In other words, it should not be anybody's water being cut off.
No.
Do you have an idea in your head of how many people water can be cut off?
I know exactly.
And then why? I mean, exactly. In other words, if I got a pathway to get you out, then why is your water off?
I know exactly how many. Your water's off because you didn't open your bill and you didn't pay attention to any of the notices, because no water industry that I know of in this country does what we do to notify our customers ahead of time. Not only do we send you out 3 notices in the mail, we come out to your house, knock on the door, and if you're not home, we put a door knocker on your door and basically say, come in and see us for this assistance program. You have 7 days. And here's what happens, because, the news doesn't always report it accurately. They want to be sensational about the headline.
Sure.
17,000 customers are subject to be shut off. The customer asks, how many customers are eligible? Yes, there are 17,000. As soon as I send out that first notice, 50% of those customers are going to come into a service center or go to a kiosk and make a payment, and they're going to remove themselves from the list. When I put that door knocker out on someone's door, 90% of those people before that 7-day period are going to come in, make an appointment. The people that get shut off are the ones that ignore all of the requests to come in and apply for the assistance. And then once they get shut off, they're back on within 24 hours because now I got them. They had to come in now.
Right.
And we get them into the assistance program.
So it should be zero.
It should be zero. It should be zero. The assistance is there.
Caller, you're in touch with Gary Brown. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Reverend Holley.
Yes.
Well, my concerns, I have a lot of them. So let me get my card. Okay, so the water system. Okay.
What's your question?
It's raining right now.
But what's your question?
You're telling me that the drainage fees just getting sucked out the grass from the ground is getting pumped into a water canal. And didn't the water company just give Nestle the authority to pump 800,000 gallons of water from our water system? And I also want to ask you about the inexperienced workers that's working on the water in the pipe for the new infrastructure. I also want to ask
let's just get those two.
It's raining out here right now. So when that water goes into your gutters and comes down that downspout and then goes into the ground, it's working its way into our sewer system. The same sewer system in which when you flush your toilet or you take a shower, that sewage is in there. And it's mixing with the sewage and it has to be pumped to the wastewater treatment plant. You have to use chemicals to clean it. You have to process it at the plant before you can put it back into the Detroit River. So there's a cost to that.
Right.
And we're trying to, with the new drainage program, we're trying to spread that cost fairly and equitably so that everybody is paying the same rate.
Okay. What her question in regards to inexperienced people that's
it's yes. We cannot say that we're not going to hire returning citizens, because I'm hiring returning citizens because they're inexperienced. We got to train them. Okay, look, I tell my HR this. If they don't have a driver's license because of driver responsibility fees, take them over to the court and ask the judge to give them a payment plan. They're going to have a job on Monday. They don't have any experience. They don't have any experience. Give them, but they got to have a driver's license before I can train them, because I'm going to also train them to get a CDL license so that they can drive a truck. I cannot not hire employees, because if I did that, we'd be hiring all suburbanites. Because everybody that came, if I said, okay, everybody that wants to work for DWSD has to already be trained and has to have a CDL. You know who would apply? The people that have that, and they wouldn't be Detroit.
Well, one thing about it, October the 1st, that'll go away.
Yeah, the driver's responsibility will go away.
But the other thing I'm just saying to you, in terms of if somebody got a problem with somebody on the phone, there's a place that they can call to complain about the poor service or not getting service or not satisfied.
Yeah, we have customer service supervisors. We're monitoring the phones. We understand that our customer service in the past has been adequate at best. It's not good, better, or best. We're trying to get there, and we're providing the training for our employees. But I happen to believe that we have some of the best employees in the country in this industry. It's just that the water department hasn't invested any time or training or any dollars into allowing them to be successful. And then the water department had bad business processes that they're stuck with working with. So it's not the employees. And it's my job to make sure that we change the business processes and that the employees get trained and that they get better. And that's what we're doing.
It's 8 minutes after the hour. And of course, I got to I'm just going to do it by way of just letting you know that you're watching TV's 33 WHPR. Is the station in Detroit Highland Park, so that's the ID. I got to do that, otherwise I'll be fined. So that's the ID. And I appreciate you. Just give me a few more minutes.
Absolutely,
because
much time
I appreciate this right here. I'll call you in touch with Gary Brown. How are you?
Fair to Midland.
Yes.
Gary Brown. I would hate to have your job. I couldn't sleep thinking that I was in charge of a department that's turning off thousands of people's water. Such an inhumane task to accept. Now, you mentioned earlier that the media is sensational. It reminds me of what Trump would say. We would call them fake news. So you're saying that this is kind of alternative news, that the media is running around with headlines saying that thousands and thousands of Detroiters will be without water this summer?
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like.
I'll be really quick.
Yeah,
let by law, you have to turn people's water off. What law is that?
Okay.
I didn't say by law I had to turn people's water off. I said by law I can't give water away for free. So let's get the facts straight. When I took over January 2016, 50,000 of 175,000 customers were eligible for shutoff. 44,000 were actually shut off. The only reason 50,000 weren't shut off, they didn't have the capacity to go do them all. Or they would have 50,000 people shut off. 50,000 out of 175,000. We're going to shut off less than 2,000 people this year. And those 2,000 will be the 2,000 that didn't get the information about coming in and applying for RAP. So I sleep very well at night because when I started, and in less than 18 months, you have 44,000 people shut off. You only had $229,000 available to assist them. And now I've created $7.1 million to assist them. I've got 20,000 people in assistance plans, and 90% of them are staying current. So let's not forget this point. More than 90% of the 175,000 customers are not having a problem paying their bill on time. They're not at risk. You have 10%. And then once we get them into assistance programs, they're staying current on their bill.
Right.
And so I think that while this isn't a perfect system.
But if you got 2,000 basically that's ready to be shut off, you got a pathway to get them out of not being shut
That's right.
off.
That's right.
So it should be 100% where everybody's got water.
Absolutely. And when I have a great relationship with the media. I don't want to seem like that I'm a Donald Trump, that I'm saying this fake news. They were accurate. 17,000 people are at risk. But when you make that a headline and you don't say, and they did say it down in the body of the
but
article,
you don't lead it.
that these assistance programs will only lead to about 2,000 of that 17,000. So they're eligible. As soon as you come in and make a payment, you get your notice.
Sure.
50% of the people are going to do that. You're no longer eligible. So it's a little misleading to tell people 17,000 people
But
are going
it's
to be
also
shut
helpful.
off.
But it's also helpful
Yes.
because when people hear that, then you start looking at my bill. You're looking at your bill and understand, am I one of them?
Yeah.
And
Rip, when I got there, they were spending $8 million shutting people off. They had 44,000 people shut off. $8 million a year shutting people off. And they only had a 77% collection rate, meaning of all the bills you sent out, only 77% of the people were paying.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Today you got over 90% collection rate. The first year I cut it to $4 million, and I doubt if I spend $2 million on shutoffs today. And I'm going to spend $2 million on the shutoffs, but yet we're going to collect another $30 or $40 million that we can use to hire people and invest into the system, into the infrastructure, and more importantly, not have to bond more dollars that we have to service that debt with ratepayer dollars.
But let's just give me one more time about the 2,000. There are 2,000 people can be shut off as we speak this morning. But the point is that you don't have to be shut off if you just call this number and understand there is a way, there's an exit, there is a pathway out of being shut off.
Every single customer has a pathway not to see a service interruption if they just come in and get into a program.
Okay. What about senior citizens who can't get in? Can you still do it by phone?
We will make arrangements to reach out to those seniors. That's why we're so happy that the churches are working with us to get this message out to people.
Right.
Because I do bear some responsibility in communicating the message that the dollars are available and the programs are functioning.
Okay. Carl, you've been patient, Hurry, this morning. You're with Gary Brown. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Just fine. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, my question, I did get on the water training plan for about 6 months, but my actual price is $40. My bill is $131 a month. So I don't seem to be getting.
You're kind of breaking up.
You have size rep that I could get in because I have the lease. Can't get the lease because I can't. Do you have a repairs?
So you need to get. Say it again because you broke up on me. Just say it real loud.
I think I understand. I think I understand the question.
Payment from the water department, but they won't let me on the RAP program. They'll pay part of the bill. I'm still paying the whole bill. So do you have another program that different from RAP like the husband before? Because I've been in the bill my name, but the house is in my. She passed away. They said I cannot get on the RAP program.
Okay, gotcha.
I got it. Yeah, this is a common problem that I've tried to change some policies to make it easier for people to get their water turned on. And here's what I can do and here's what I can't do. I can't get in between a landlord-tenant dispute.
Okay.
That if you own the house and you say I can't turn the water on, you own the house, I can't turn the water on. At the same time, I'm not going to let the landlord turn the water on in the tenant's name, and I'm not going to let the tenant turn it on in the landlord's name. So I will turn the water on in the tenant's name as long as they can show me that they have a lease. They have a legal mechanism to be on that property.
Okay.
So that the landlord can't sue me because a lot of times landlords say, "Why'd you turn that water on? I didn't authorize people to be there." Now here's what happens in our community a lot, and I think what this gentleman is kind of alluding to. You'll have a grandmother, and the house is in the grandmother's name, and she dies. And no one goes to probate court or takes the initiative to try to get the home in their name. And so they come into the water department, even though they're living in the house, but they can't show us any legal document says that they have a legal means to be there. And so, that we got to strongly encourage people that when property changes hands through a quick claim deed, you got to go to the assessor's office and file a property transfer affidavit, because the legal description that I have to use comes out of the assessor's office.
Right.
So here's a person that's standing in my customer service center, and they can't show any legal reason that they're in that home. And now we're going to try to get them over to the assessor's office and try to, because the thing I want to do is I want to increase my customer base. I don't want to decrease. I don't want to hold people back. I don't want to shut you off. I want to shut you on so I can increase the customer base. The more people that are paying, the less we all pay. And so this misnomer that we're trying to keep people from getting water or we're shutting them off, that's not what we want to do. That costs me money to shut someone off. And then I got to go back there and shut them on.
Sure, right.
That costs me money. I don't want to do that. I want to avoid that. I would rather provide assistance to keep them from being shut off than to shut someone off, have to shut them back on and pay that cost.
And so you tell them what they have to do in order to get qualified.
Yes.
But you know what, man? It's 600,000 people in the city of Detroit. You telling me this is first? I mean, 100. We only have 175 households.
Households. Yes. You might have 3 to 4 people in each house. Or more.
Reverend, you got 6. We got 6. We ain't got but 6.
Well, this isn't. There's 175,000 residential accounts, but that doesn't include apartments.
Buildings,
we consider those commercials. And here's what I won't do. I won't shut an apartment off. I won't shut a nursing home off.
But that's my point. Is this? I mean, we got 600 plus 600,000, and only have 175 homes.
Residential accounts, yes.
I mean, am I missing something here? I mean, is that just normal kind of thing in any other city?
Well, Detroit is not normal because we have more single-family homes than any city in America. Everybody else, New York, Chicago, they have Philadelphia, they have row houses and apartments.
Okay.
That's normal.
Caller, you in touch with Gary Brown. How are you this morning?
Oh, yeah, good morning. I'm trying to get through here. Good morning, Reverend Holley.
Good morning.
And Mr. Brown.
Good morning.
I hear you talk about those things but they're good, except this. If you are in a house and the landlord has the water bill in his name, you cannot go down and do anything you can't get into any of those special programs without the landlord doing it. Now, once the landlord goes, he doesn't qualify for any of this help.
If
you understand what I'm saying?
If in fact you're a tenant and you have a lease agreement with the landlord, you're legally on the property. Right. I will put the water on in your name as long as you give me a social security number so that if you move, your account goes with you to the next location. So we don't let landlords put the water in your name, and we don't let you put the water in the landlord's name. If the tenant is legally on the premises, we will put the water on in their name with their social security number with a very small deposit, and when you move, your bill just goes with you.
I'm gonna hold you to that, and I'm going down Monday, and I'm gonna try that.
Okay.
And I'm not behind in my water, but I do want it in my name, so I'm gonna try you. Okay. I'm gonna hold you to that, Mr. Brown.
It's a written policy, and you let me know if that's not true.
Caller, you in touch.
We do that every day.
You in touch with Gary Brown. How are you this morning?
Yes, Reverend Holley. I wasn't done, asking Mr. Brown questions, but just like the mayor, the council, and every elected official, I'm going to hold him accountable.
Okay.
Okay? because this is very ungodly and very unlawful.
What
what's
is?
going on in this city.
What is?
And you have to prioritize with the people.
But what's
All of
on
these
what?
water shutoffs, everything that's happening. This is very unconstitutional.
What is?
The water shutoffs. I seen 4 to 5 trucks
Okay, all right.
yesterday from east to west, cutting off people's water.
Okay, all right, all right. Call you in touch. Hurry this morning. Good morning. Call you. Yes, there you are.
I
Okay.
never did get a precise answer on that. I'm the one with the
So what now?
watery, just talk about the water program. Would you have another program I could get into?
Is another program?
Yeah, if you
I did get the bill changed to my gave all that paper, like everything except to get on the water report.
Yeah, we have a program rep that's called 10-30-50, and the average arrears in the city of Detroit is $663. That people, when they're behind in their bill, if they got an average bill of $75, the average arrears that they're behind is $663. We will let you come in and put 10% of that down, that's $63, and get your water on. Now, if you don't stay current on your payment, the next time you get behind and you don't make your payments and you're subject to be shut off, you have to put 30% down.
Right.
And then if you get behind in that program, the next time you have to put 50% down. If you get to that stage, you've normally paid off because you paid 10%,
right.
You paid 30%, now you paid 50%. You've just about paid off your arrears. And so we do have a program called 10-30-50. You can make $100,000 and you're behind in your bill. And that's why I say every customer has a path not to see a disconnection. You either have the RAP program, if you qualify 150% below the poverty, and you have the 10-30-50 program, if in fact you make more money than poverty and you need a payment plan.
But I think this is the guy also was talking about his mother. Is there any other plan? I think he's asking other than going to assessor's office and getting
the assessor's office is the legal description of who owns the property. That's where the taxes are going to go.
But again, if his mother owned it when she passed, he needs
to take a death certificate down to the assessor's office and get control of the property in his name, so that he can show that he's legally there.
Okay, gotcha. Call you in touch. Hurry this morning. How are you?
Hello.
Yes, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Thank you for calling.
Good. Yes, and I have one question for Mr. Brown. If a person has a CPL and is a returning citizen, but does not have a high school diploma or a GED, will they still hire?
Yes. Yes, we do it every day.
Okay.
Yes.
So you just apply down at
you go online.
Personnel Department.
You can also go online.
You can go online.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye bye.
Call you in touch with Gary Brown. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm good. I'd like to ask. I heard Mr. Brown speak of training.
Yes.
And no disrespect to Mr. Brown, but having come from the police department, what qualified you to be the director of the water department? What prior credentials did you have in water? Thank you very much.
That's a great question. And you know what? I am a member of a lot of national trade groups. The American Water Works Association, the American Metropolitan Water Works Association. So I get an opportunity to look at the management teams of water departments all over the country. And here's who the traditional water executive is. It's usually a white male that has 30, 40 years experience in the industry. And here's what the traditional water executive's approach is to solving affordability problems. We don't want any assistance programs. We're going to bill you if you don't make the payment. We're going to foreclose on your house. We're going to put you on the tax rolls. I don't put residential customers on the tax rolls. We're not going to exasperate the foreclosure rate in the city. That's not the traditional water department manager's response to that. He's going to say, I don't want any assistance programs. They're too hard to administer. I don't want my customers to get used to getting assistance. And so if they don't pay me, I simply put them on the tax rolls, foreclose on the property, and I get my money when the house is sold. That's your traditional, experienced water guy. Now, before I joined the police department, I managed a business that did $10 million a year. That's in the 70s. Before, I'm 21 years old, a part of a management team that's running a company that's doing $10 million a year. I joined the police department because I wanted to serve my community, just like I joined the Marine Corps.
So what age did you join the police department?
At 25, after I came out of the Marine Corps.
Okay.
But I had run a $10 million supermarket prior to that. And so I have some business experience before I even went on the police department. Now, what else have I done?
Give me your high school.
I went to Northwestern High School. I graduated from Wayne State University with a bachelor's degree, and I graduated from Eastern Michigan with a master's degree in interdisciplinary technology.
Okay.
And so I've also been the chief operating officer of the city of Detroit, where the water department was just one department of many that flowed up through my portfolio. I was appointed by a federal judge to the root cause committee of the water department to help solve some of those problems. I've been an elected official as a city council person running the public health and safety committee, in which the water department ran up through that portfolio. So when I went out and put my team together, my executive core team, and I'll put my team against any management team in the country in any utility. Valencia Mobley, my deputy director and chief engineer, a Detroiter, Rob Presnow.
Tell me about the lady. Is her name Mosley? And she's
Valencia Mobley.
And she's a female.
She's a female.
And
I'm going to say she's under 40. She just received an award for that.
But how many people like her? That's female and black.
In this industry?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
She stands alone.
Yes, right.
There may be a couple. But here's the point. I put together a compassionate executive management team that has the expertise. My expertise is in operations. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a lawyer. I hire good lawyers. I have one of the best in the country working at the water department in Deborah Poshpish. I also have Rob Presnell from Deloitte, who was working in Boston and San Francisco on major state projects before he came to work for me. My CFO has 40 years of experience as a CFO in major governmental organizations. And so we have a great team. I think I'm more than qualified to lead this team.
But why would you, obviously, everybody, if we all know your background, the police officer and all like that, but why did you want this job? Because but I want to know why. Because when I met you, not met you, but I came start working with you in the mayor's office, there were so many opportunities that you had out of this seat, out of this state, and you chose this. Why?
You have 44,000 of my relatives, my friends, my neighbors that were shut off. And here I get a chance to go into a $1 billion company. When we bifurcated, it's $500 million on DWSD side and another $500 million on the Great Lakes Water side. But I get to be on the board of directors for the authority. I get to be the director of the water department, and I get to fix things that are broken. I get to create jobs for Detroiters with the dollars that are coming from the suburbs to be invested into our system. I mean, I can't think of any other job if you want to give back. I mean, this isn't about making money. This is about, at this point in my life, it's about being able
to give
back. And I'm creating jobs for Detroiters, both on the vendor side of the house as well as employing Detroiters. So I just saw this as an opportunity to feel good about what I do every day when I wake up and to be able to make a difference. I see some of my friends are thinking about running for Congress. And I think to myself, well, you're going to go to Congress, and the Republicans are going to be in charge, and it's going to take you 6 or 8 years. And God bless them. I'm happy that people are willing to serve in that capacity.
Sure.
But we need them. But here's what really, really bothers me, is that when you look around the landscape of the Fortune 500 companies that are in the city of Detroit, how many African Americans are in the position to be able to create jobs for Detroiters?
Right.
How many African Americans are on the board of directors of those companies that are in a decision-making position to be able to create jobs for Detroiters? And so Detroit has one, and then people want to criticize and say, well, is he qualified? Look at the accomplishments that we've had in just 18 months to 2 years. They've been tremendous. If you were in the private sector, people would, you'd be getting $1 million bonuses for bringing in $40 or $50 million more into the organization by raising the collection rate. And by the way, you get to rebuild the infrastructure with that and hire Detroiters to do it. Yeah. And so, be careful what you ask for. Do you want that traditional water executive? You want to go outside of the city of Detroit and hire somebody that's been in the water business for 40 years, and they're going to come in and want to do it the way it's always been done.
Let's talk about quickly, because I know your time. But let me ask you this: we got a lot of infrastructure we got to do.
Yes.
Especially for this year, beginning this year, when construction thing starts. Let's talk about that and opportunities that African Americans will have in terms of really getting opportunities to work.
Yeah.
And get some of this money.
Recently, the mayor's office over at the Randolph School, where we're training young people how to have some of the skills it's going to take for all type of works. We brought together a couple hundred vendors or contractors, and we simply were trying to ask the question, what skills are Detroiters going to need in order for you to be able to hire them? Because if they don't have the skills, we don't want that to be a barrier for you being hired. We want to provide, the city wants to make sure that there's enough trained workforce to be hired.
Right.
And so Wayne County participated, the state MDOT participated, I participated from the water department, Ron Brunders participated from DPW, and we're talking about just on the city side. If Ron spends $100 million, the demolition program spends $100 million, I spend $100 million, that's just over the next year or so. Yeah. That's $300 million of jobs and work that can be created.
Yeah.
And so, if we don't make sure Detroiters are getting those jobs, then we've missed an opportunity. Here's why. It's their money. Yeah. The money that I'm using to pay for the infrastructure comes from rates, from Detroit ratepayers.
Right.
It's their money. They should participate from the tax dollars, from the rates that they pay in some of the jobs, as well as some of the contracting opportunities. And if we miss this opportunity, I think it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, because you've been around long enough to know the economy will take a dip.
Right.
We're not going to be in this roaring economy forever. It will take a dip. And when it does, we want to be able to sustain and be able to continue to work and keep Detroiters working.
And all I know is I'm just glad you're there. That's all
I know.
Thank
you
I'm
so
just
much.
glad you're there. Before I let you go, is there any way in the world we can incorporate Wayne County Community College District in this formula of?
I'm working with Dr. Ivy now.
Okay.
And absolutely, truck driving.
You see, and then the point is that these skills, Pell Grant would pay for this for a lot of these young people.
When I have these with my employees, I have these, what we call them, coffee and conversation meetings, 7:30 in the morning.
Right.
And what I try to convince my employees to do, that work out in field services, you guys got to start applying for some of this Motor City Match dollars.
Right.
You guys got to start branching out and becoming entrepreneurs, starting your own. You know how to do this work, but what they're lacking is the skill set to be able to put a company together.
Right, yeah.
And so we're 7:30 in the morning for those who want to come in. We're going to start providing training on how to apply for the grant dollars.
Right.
And most importantly, how to run a business.
Right.
You know, because that's not a skill set that they may know how to do the work, but on the back of the house part of the operation, we need to help them with that.
And perhaps with this matching, what do you call it, the city
matching funds, yes,
funds that could help. Because
absolutely,
the problem, of course, is access to capital.
That's always the problem.
That kind of a thing.
Access to capital.
Let me just take this, and I'll let you go. You've been very nice, and of course, it's raining out there, and then we got.
It's nice and warm in here.
Caller, you've been patient. Hurry this morning. You're my next to my last call. Yes.
Mr. Brown, some speaking to classmates, is there any way you can give me special consideration with my situation? Help me out personally. I'm a Northwestern coach as well.
Yeah, you call. You got a pencil?
Yes.
Yeah, Monday morning, call 224-4701.
I will.
Ask for Renee.
You hear the name Renee? Did you ask?
Yes.
Okay, Renee, okay. All right.
Repeat that number one more time.
224-4701.
And what's your first name?
Got it.
What's your first name?
Tony.
Okay, so you call him Renee, and Renee's gonna look for Tony, not for Ralph. Okay. Okay. Call you in touch. Hurry this morning. You're my last call. Good morning.
Yes. When will you have a town hall?
Okay. Is it?
Yeah, if you go to our website, DWSD's website, we have our board meetings in the community, and we have one coming up, I believe, on Wednesday. But the listing of all the board meetings, which are public events at rec centers, churches. You can come and speak, and all my executive team will be there. All of my customer service representatives, and as well as Wayne Metro to give out assistance, will be there. I know we're going to be on the east side at our next meeting at a church, but they're listed on the DWSD website. So it is, if you go to detroitmi.gov/DWSD, you'll get to the website.
Okay.
And it'll have a listing of all the board meetings.
So you don't have what you call a community meeting, but you do have board meetings in the community.
Yeah.
And there is a place on the program where
the reason I don't is because we attend all of the mayor's community meetings, all of the city council community meetings, as well as other ones that we're invited to. And so they will be listed on our website.
Yeah. I thank you. I really thank you, Gary. Just spend the time with
us.
No,
I'm glad you're giving me the opportunity to get the information out, because I think you know that there's a lot of myths out there, and sometimes when we can get the information out, people can correct it.
But tell me one more time, because what I want people to understand, we're talking about zero shut off.
Right.
It's no point for anybody's water to be shut off.
No.
And the reason why is because there's a pathway out of shutoffs.
Every single customer has a pathway not to see a service interruption if they ask for the help and stay current in the plan.
Right.
Every single customer. And I have several $1 million available right now. And if we get overloaded, if Wayne Metro gets overloaded with more appointments, we freeze everybody's arrears. We free until they get in to have a conversation and get into a program. And so again, my goal is to increase my customer base, not decrease it. Shutting people off is inhumane. It is. I have no choice legally. I can't provide a service for free. I have to collect for it.
But when I woke up this morning, there are a possibility of 2,000 people that we got to work to make sure they get the water, but not 20,000.
No,
but
not
2,000.
17,000.
But 2,000.
2,000
and also
customers.
And certainly we can get that done if people just make themselves available.
Yeah, and the last thing I'd ask folks to do is on days like today, if you got a drain out in front of your home like I do. I got two. I live on the corner, so I got two.
I got a parking lot.
I got two. And when I go home, I gotta change clothes and take a rake and go out and rake those drains off. Monday morning, we're gonna have an army of vacuum trucks out there cleaning drains. Most of the issues are gonna simply be this time of year in the spring. You're gonna have twigs and debris that have accumulated around that drain and are flooding the street. So all the help we can get in the neighborhoods will allow us to concentrate on some of the main thoroughfares and keep the streets
People
clear.
really don't understand. I learned so much when I have these interviews with you. For example, I got a spout on my house.
Yep.
And water comes a day like today. The water comes through the spout, and where does it go? Tell me that.
It goes down into what we call a boot, and then it leads right out to the sewer, either in your alley or in front of your home. There's a sewer, and it's going to go all the way to my wastewater treatment plant to be cleaned. And there's a cost for that. And so in July, I'm going to give every residential customer a 25% discount on their drainage if they just disconnect those drains that are going down into the ground and let it run off onto the grass.
Grass, yeah.
So that it can just go into the grass naturally.
Right.
When it runs down that driveway and gets into the street and then runs into the sewer drain, it's just going to combine with sewage. And think about this, 80% of this rain that's coming down today doesn't need to be cleaned. It's clean until it mixes with that sewage.
Yeah.
And now you're cleaning rain water that really wouldn't need to be cleaned if it wasn't combined with the sewer water. So if you can disconnect from your where it goes into the ground and let that run off onto your grass and go down naturally, we're going to give every residential customer 25% discount on their drainage.
Thanks, Barry.
No,
Appreciate
thank you.
Thank you.
And please.
And we'll do this maybe a couple months from now.
I'd love to do it
See where we
anytime
are.
you
Especially
ask.
with this, and certainly when we start getting these jobs out there.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that's going to be.
We can talk about jobs next time
Very
I
good.
come.
Very good. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
We'll be right back. Wherever you are, you'll be right there.
And I will always care for you. Hello, Detroit.
You've seen him on the red carpet, you've seen him on the sidelines, you've seen him on the stage. The hottest looks in urban fashion from the biggest name in urban fashion, Van Dykes. Now pick out 3, pay for 1. 3 suits for 1. Van Dykes, 10 Mile and Southfield Road. You've seen him at the clubs, you've seen him in the boardroom, you've seen him on the pulpit. Now get them at Van Dykes. 3 suits for 1. Suits for the workplace, for the club scene, to be seen in. Pick out 3, pay for 1. Van Dykes, 10 Mile and Southfield Road.
There is not another culinary or hospitality academy located in the city of Detroit.
There's a lot of people teaching culinary arts, but they're not teaching the business side of it.
We're opening up another kitchen for the Cleary Culinary Academy. We're going to bring a Cleary mind to every kitchen in downtown Detroit.
But when we talk about a Cleary mind, we're talking about a student that can make a definite impact.
We want to be a part of all the wonderful food establishments, restaurants, and the food scene in general in downtown Detroit.
And I will always care for you. Hello, Detroit.
It's about 15 minutes to the hour. Thank you so much for your patience with me. And I'm for the last 3 mornings I've been getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning for this job fair, and so I'm just apologize. I don't seem to have the gusto that I'd like to have, but I just want you to know that you've been very patient with me, and I thank you so much. And before I go to something else, because I want to make sure there's something else that's going on at Wayne County Community College called craft brewing. But my sisters and brothers, you know, if this means anything, if I mean anything to you, Gary Brown, I don't know what would, I mean, the young man, the man tries to do everything he can to make this thing work for all of us. I know there's nothing, there's nobody's perfect, none of us, including me. But I'm just telling you, indeed, that his heart, his mind, it's all into this thing. And I'm just letting you know, I don't know what we will be doing. I mean, down to 2,000 people, and then those people have a pathway out of getting their water cut off. There's a pathway out for you. And again, that number is 386-9727. 386-9727. And again, I just hope that this has been helpful to you. Last week we had the treasury department. Now we had the water department. And so I'm just saying to you that I'm asking you to take advantage of it. I'm not suggesting any of us are perfect. And certainly, whether you like the way it's set up or not, it is what it is, and it's going to be like that for 40 years. So we can complain about it for 40 years, or we can work with it and try to make sure it's serving all of us, serving all of us. And so we got down to where you're talking about 2,000 people, or where we had 40-some thousand people several years ago. The water's been shut off, and now we got down to 2,000. And those people, for the most part, they will be taken care of as well. And then for those of you who have leaks, there's money in the system that people come out and fix the leaks that's in your house. And the thing about it is, we got to understand that showering and flushing the toilet, I don't ever think about it. I just, but obviously we got to do some things. We just got to do. But also that we're talking about this sewage situation, this drainage, is that we can do something about that. I just appreciate the calls. I appreciate your patience with me with the calls, and I hope that we've done something to kind of help you get this information through. But the guy is a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful guy. And you and I know his background, that indeed he doesn't, he could be in the Bahamas somewhere and just basically living the life of Raleigh. But he wants to serve. He wants to give back. He wants to do something to try to help people. And I'm telling you, his mind and his heart is there. And I'm just glad he's there. I'm glad he's there. And I think you are too. And I thank you for all your questions and all your concerns. You have a right to do that. I'm not suggesting that we have to have every question has got to basically just be kind, but you're there for information, and that's really good. I just love me some Wayne County Community College District, and I want everybody to have a job. I want everybody to go and get your skills and all of that. You and I know there's a lot of stuff happening in the city of Detroit. I had over 800 people that came through the job fair yesterday, over 800. And I'm just saying to you, my sister, brother, I know people are looking for jobs. They're not, so I'm just saying to you is that this is a new program at Wayne County Community College. It's called craft brewing. Now, obviously, and all I'm trying to do is just make sure that you, if you're interested in something like this, I called a couple of people, a couple of brewers that in Royal Oak. One is in Royal Oak, and one is in Ferndale, and they basically have. But in Detroit, there's no business that I know of that. At least I couldn't find one that basically is really crafting a beer. And so again, I'm just saying to you, this is another program at Wayne County Community College. Normally, if you get out of this program, you're making about $37,000 a year. The opportunities are there for you, going interest is, in terms of crafting a brewery field. It's there. And so I'm just saying to you, indeed, there are over 7,000 jobs that are available for those who really want to get into this business. Now, obviously, as a preacher, I shouldn't be sit here, but all I wanted you is to work, and that you work, and that you indeed have a job, and that you have your own business, that you can have your own business. And so I'm just saying to you, as my sister and brother, this is something else that's going on. It's a big thing. I understand it's a big thing. I'm just want you to know also that the Wayne County Community College, I can't tell you enough about them for what the Chancellor Ivory helped us put this workshop, this job fair on yesterday. Black United Fund was there, mental health, Wayne County, Wayne, Detroit mental health was there, and they were part of it as well. And so I'm just saying to you, my sister brothers, I'm just thankful to so many people: Tyrone Winfrey, Donaldson, Ken Donaldson, Emmanuel Toll. I want you to know that indeed so many people helped to put this together, and I'm grateful to all of them for that. I'd be honest with you, I just went to bed tired, I woke up tired, and then I was trying to keep up with this this whole thing that's going on in Syria, over in the Middle East, and woke up watching that through the night, and trying to make sure that we're not going to be in a major war this morning, and waiting to see what Russia is going to do, and what Iran is going to do. And of course, we dropped those bombs on Syria, and so again, I just didn't know what was going to go on, what was going to happen. So my seat was broken because I want to make sure, indeed, that I'd be able to let you know in terms of what was happening there in the Middle East. It's going to be, you just can't keep bombing people and think they're not going to bomb you back. You know what I mean? You just can't keep dropping these bombs on other people and think they're not going to drop something on you. And especially when the people that you're dealing with, they don't have any conscience for the most part, and they seem like they have no soul, and they don't mind dying. And anytime you're fighting somebody that don't mind dying, you see, the problem with me with a fight, is that I care about living. But if I'm fighting somebody that don't care about dying, or life or death, as far as they're concerned, then that's somebody that can be very dangerous. And that's the thing that's going on in the Middle East. It can be very dangerous because these people really don't care about dying. Because for the most part, when you look and see what's going on all around them, and the destruction, it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. And so once again, I just thank you so much. And again, I apologize for the energy. I'm just out of it. But I want you to know I'm grateful that we had a chance to have Gary Brown here to get this information to you and your questions. All I'm trying to do is just be a messenger to you and try to bring information to you. And information is powerful, and I certainly hope that you take advantage of it every time we bring it to you here at WHPR. Once again, thank you so much. Just remember, it's going to be raining all day today, all day tomorrow, and all half the day on Monday. And so just for those of us who haven't been baptized, well, you'll be baptized this weekend if you go outside. Thank you so much for being with us. And again, always remember, I love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it.